This is a Colt 1911, yeah? You'll see no, there's no numbers on it.
Cody Wilson has a vision of a future without gun control.
So this is a PRI Mark 12.
Where anyone can 3D print a pistol at home or privately build their own semi-automatic rifle. Lethal, untraceable, unregulated weapons. And now that vision is one step closer to reality. After years of fighting the US government in court, Wilson just won the right to publish downloadable schematics for just about any commercially available firearm online.
This is the direct material and digital expansion of the right to keep and bear arms.
5 years ago, Wilson's organization, Defense Distributed, released plans for the world's first 3D printable gun. They called it the Liberator. But just days after the group posted those files, the State Department demanded that they be removed for violating weapons export controls. Defense Distributed complied, but then filed a lawsuit claiming its right to publish gun files was a form of protected free speech.
We said, no, we're Americans. Americans have the right to access this data, unquestionably, and that the internet is now the commons in a way that libraries and things were in the past.
Now the group has essentially won its case. Its settlement with the State Department will allow it to once again upload gun files designed for DIY gunsmiths, and promises to open the door for others to do the same.
Is it the end of gun control? I think it is in an essential sense.
It's not quite that simple for now. Homemade weapons have been involved in at least 2 mass shootings in the last 5 years. But they represent just a fraction of the wider gun control debate in America.
When criminals and dangerous people are able to create their own guns in their homes, it will become an issue in the near future.
Wilson sees his project as a trump card against the gun control movement that's intensified in the wake of February's Parkland school shooting that left 17 people dead.
Never again! Never again!
Defense Distributed is using its legal win to launch what it hopes will become the internet's most comprehensive repository of digital gun files. And as digital fabrication tools like 3D printers and computer-controlled milling machines become cheaper and more advanced, Defense Distributed hopes to unlock a new generation of DIY gunsmithing beyond all regulation.
You cannot regulate the digital material of guns anymore. It's out there, the flood's there, everyone's got it. We translated our culture into the 21st century. It's here, it's going to grow.
The group already makes and sells its own milling machine called the Ghost Gunner that can produce frames for AR-15s and 1911 handguns. 3 years ago, I tried out that machine and easily built a working AR-15 in Wired's office. It's untraceable. I didn't have to go through a background check or any sort of waiting period to get it. The government has no knowledge of its existence. Wilson recently gave me a tour of Defense Distributed's Austin headquarters.
Ghost Gunner is a desktop milling machine. People have such a demand to make private rifles or private firearms for themselves, guns with no numbers, that we built an application, purpose-made to help you do that.
Neither the State Department nor the Department of Justice would comment on the settlement, but Wilson sees it as the next chapter in his anarchist open-source firearms playbook.
It's almost like we're creating a platform for a new propulsive force in our movement.
The company is digitizing as many guns as possible by taking analog measurements of weapon parts with gauges and a massive 30-year-old machine called an optical comparator. The device projects an object's image onto a screen where it's magnified up to 100 times. That allows the operator to map out points across a component like this AR-9 frame and calculate the geometry of every tiny feature of the gun.
It's all a lot of handwork. We come over here and we put the dimensions into a CAD model. We're going to do a lot of starting from scratch as we build.
And now they can legally publish those materials online. Of course, the database will also make those blueprints available to people who can't legally buy guns today. Minors, felons, and the mentally ill, who might now be able to make them at home. Wilson argues that's unlikely to happen, but says the possibility won't stop him from doing his work.
I'm resolved that because of my political principles and because of my belief in what's driving the project, that you have to accept that obviously people will do bad things. This is not in any way a justification for wholesale class-based prohibition on access to the right to keep and bear arms.
Wilson sees the digital library of weapons material his group is building as a way to undermine any future efforts to control the weapons he believes everyone should have access to. As Wilson admits, it's a dangerous vision.
I think almost without exception that people have a right to this kind of data regarding anything.
And now it has the legal approval of the US government.